What's going on, guys? It is about time that I start getting to these new releases in Christian rock and metal that have come out in probably the last month or two that I've missed out on. We're talking Seventh-day Slumber and their new album. We're talking Conviction, their two new releases, Confessions of a Traitor, my brethren in Unworthy, my SoCal brethren, and one of my favorite bands, Memphis Mayfire. So we are going to be talking about all of those releases and more in today's video, so make sure you stay tuned. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you're having a beautiful day. If you're new to this channel, my name is Adam Castro, and this is Sanctify Studios, where I like to create and examine content with a sanctifying and biblical view. And I like to highlight those artists who are intentional about creating sanctifying content. So it's usually a lot of Christian bands, Christian rock, Christian metal. I'm trying to get to some Christian contemporary as well, because there are some really cool worship teams and some really cool contemporary music out there. Jordan Felice is releasing some great songs. I think I've talked about Jordan Felice before, that he was in a Christian metal band called A Current Affair, and they used to play Spirit West Coast, and it was so awesome seeing them live. But he grew into the CCM family, and now he's like huge as a solo artist, so that's awesome. Renew Creative is a worship team that has the old singer of Waverly, and they're just awesome. All the music they come out with is awesome. Austin Lyons from I Am Empire. So like just a lot of really cool contemporary music that I want to get to. However, I've got a band called Classic Disaster. We're Christian metal, and the content that I typically focus on here on this channel is usually leaning towards that Christian rock and metal. So I'm trying to get to the other stuff. It's all stuff that I listen to, but I am going to be leaning a little bit more towards the Christian rock and metal. So if that's something that you're interested in, then you can do me a huge favor and yourself a huge favor. You can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You can leave this video a thumbs up, and you can hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when new videos arrive. And go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're listening to these days. There's a few songs that I'm going to be reacting to that I've already heard, including the Memphis Mayfire song that we're looking at today. Really hard for me not to just like jam to Memphis Mayfire right when it comes out, because they're like Disciple and Memphis Mayfire, like right here, you guys. Disciple is my favorite band, but Memphis Mayfire is like right there, right underneath, because it's just so good. So I did hear the song, but we're going to be reacting to the video and talking about the song today. By the way, guys, I'm in a rambling mood a little bit. It's been a while since I've been on the mic, so I feel like this could go in like 10 different directions. I don't want to hit stop and re-record, and so if I ramble, I'm so sorry, but it's going to be one of those days, and bear with me. Please bear with me. So we're going to be looking at some new songs today. And just to give you guys a little bit of an update, Joey just turned 7 months. So that's a big reason why more videos haven't come out, because this dude is just growing in energy. He's growing to be a big boy right now. He's huge, and his thighs are huge. This kid is just like, he's going to be able to beat me up in no time. And he's just growing in energy. He's kicking, he's punching, he's moving around, he's laughing, and he's crying louder as well. And so it's getting hard to get good sleep lately. But I told you guys before, and I'll tell you again, I'm doing my best to get my butt in this seat to react to more music. And I actually wanted Joey to be in this video. I planned on it, and he's ready for it. He loves this kind of music. He loves the rock and metal genre, and he's so intent on like, he seems like he's intent on learning the drums. I could play guitar, and he's like, oh, that's cool for like 10 seconds, and then he's distracted. But if I put a drummer in front of him, like I've shown him Matt Grainer, I've shown him Jake Garland, I've shown him Lester Estelle, like he watches these guys. He's watching the cymbals move. He's watching the arms go into the toms. He's watching the kicks on the double bass, all that fun stuff. And I think he's going to be a drummer guy. So like, I feel blessed. It's going to be awesome. So that's gone on. My band Classic Disaster, We just played at Chain Reaction again. That was awesome. It was a part of a new promoter that we had not worked with, and that we had not yet worked with, and they do a bunch of different shows in the area. So we were super blessed to be able to finally get to work with them. And so we're praying, we're hoping that that's going to open doors for us to be able to play a lot more shows. If you remember Doulos, they've worked with them a lot, and so I've seen them do a bunch of different shows in the area. So I'm really hoping that we'll be able to join in on the fun with all those different shows. We love playing at Chain Reaction, but we're ready for different venues and different stuff in different areas, and so I'm super excited for that. So we did that show, and it was just a whole lot of fun. We had a lot of people who had not heard of us willing to have conversations with us, and like somebody from Bellflower who saw the marketing for our first show ever, like messaged us and was like, hey, I noticed you guys were playing at Chain Reaction, and they ended up coming, and it was awesome. So I love doing shows. I love meeting new people, and that's like one of the best parts of being in a band, is that usually you're meeting someone new each and every show, and so you just get to have awesome conversations. So that happened. That was a lot of fun. We've got another show in Arizona on May 11th, so I'm going to be posting about that, and that'll be a lot of fun. So all that stuff is going on. So just I'll probably give more updates in the future on what's going on in my life, but enough about me. It's time to get to the music. It's time to get to these new releases, and there are a lot of them. So I will try to make my way through as many today as I can. I think I can get through all the ones that I mentioned, but there's even more. So if you have been left out, don't worry, I'm still going to be getting to more. There's a bunch of releases coming out tomorrow as well, so I'm going to try to squeeze them all together as best I can. But first up, we are going to be talking about the new Seventh-day Slumber album, Fractured Paradise. I think that's what it's called, Fractured Paradise. Sorry, I saw the parrot, and I was like, I wanted to say parrot dice and not paradise, so I apologize. We're not going to have time to go through the whole album, but I did want to highlight the seemingly like metal single that they have, Yours Truly, that features Magdalene Rose. So we're going to be looking at that song today, and then I'll go ahead and talk about the album itself. So let's dive into this song. Great screams from Magdalene Rose there. Really awesome song altogether. I love that this song, it parallels the first track on Death by Admiration, because Death by Admiration was kind of this theme of people are looking up to me, and they really shouldn't, because I've got my own struggles that people don't know about. And don't, like, I'm going through it too, you guys. Like, I'm going through all this stuff. So this is an interesting kind of part two, because this is the writing of the songs. Yours Truly is kind of talking about writing these songs and writing lyrics to these songs, and the burden that is placed on these artists to write songs that are encouraging for other people, but also encouraging to yourself. These songs are testimonies, and they're what's the word I'm looking for? These songs can almost be like I want to say shrines, almost, of a shrine of testimony, something you can always go back to. I think there's another word for what I'm trying to say, but almost like a shrine that you can go to, a testimony, and relive the emotions that you were going through when you wrote that song. So he's saying here, I need this just as much as you. Like, I need to get these songs out, and get these testimonies out, and just kind of get this off of my chest, put these words on the pages and onto these songs, and send them out to you, because it's almost therapeutic for me. and I need the accountability. I need to do what God has called me to do. I need to have this outlet because it's just as life-saving for me as it is for people who are relying on it outside of the band, outside of the writer. And it's not that the writer has any power in all of this, because God is the one who is working in the writer's life. God is the one who is changing the writer's life and putting the things on his or her heart to write these things, and it goes out to the listener. And the listener is tempted to put faith in the writer, right? The listener is tempted to put faith in the artist and treat the artist as if they're an idol to worship or to look up to in a way that is maybe inappropriate. Like you can look up to people, that's fine, but you shouldn't look up to them as if they are infallible, right? Like, we're all imperfect. We all are capable of sinning. And I feel like Joseph Rojas made that really clear in the last album, that like, hey, I'm not perfect. I've got my issues. I've got things that I've been working through in live performances. Joseph Rojas has been a lot more open about things that he was struggling with in the past. And so this is kind of like part two of all of that, saying like, hey, look it, I'm not the one you should be looking up to. These songs are just as therapeutic for me as they are for you. I'm not meant to play the role of a God. I'm not meant to play the role of this person you're supposed to model your life after. If you find any kind of resonance in your life from these songs, it's just because we share in the same struggles, you know, like that's kind of what I get from this song. And yeah, so just really awesome. Magdalene Rose coming in and kind of giving some aggression to the song was awesome. Weston and Blaze have been way more a part of the writing and creative process of Seventh-day Slumber now, and they just do an amazing job. There's I'll talk about the album now. There's this formula that I think they developed in Death by Admiration, and in the rest of this album, you really see that formula used again in really, really great ways that keep each and every song just kind of smacking you in the face with awesome riffs, awesome breakdowns, really good use of tension, great production. I think Kellen McGregor is still mixing these albums, and he does a great job as well. So just a really great team put together for this album as a whole, and it just kind of works. It just really, really works. I think I remember when they announced that these songs were coming out, because I've already done reactions to Surviving the Wasteland, Bullet Meant for Me, and what was the other one I did a reaction for? Feasting on Vultures. So those songs are super heavy. They're just super catchy, super heavy, great production, big and thick drums, thick bass and guitar tones. Whatever sound they were going for in Death by Admiration, I think early on with these songs, they said it was just going to be like an EP that was continuing to go in that direction. And then as they continued writing, they're like, no, let's just do a full album. So I'm really glad that they did that. I think the only thing that I noticed from this whole album was just that I connected more with Death by Admiration lyrically and song-wise than I think I connected with this album. And the one thing I felt was that there was almost a very specific theme and specific direction for Death by Admiration, and I didn't feel that same kind of specific theme and direction for this album. But every single song has really, really great depth to it. The lyrics are very poetic. The lyrics are very descriptive. You're seeing I don't have the names of the songs here, but you're seeing words being put together that really make you think about what the song is going to be about. They really make you think about like, okay, this is a really interesting title. This is a really interesting message. The way that they're using these words makes you really think about like, okay, what's the meaning behind all these songs? And so that's really cool because it gets you engaged with what I think the theme is just that like the paradise that we think that we have for ourselves is not a paradise at all. It's fractured. It's broken. It's not based in the real us. And when we actually do come to grips with who we really are, we realize that, yeah, we don't create paradises for ourselves. We create wastelands. We create damage. We create this brokenness around us, this fracturedness around us. And so that's what I kind of got from the theme of this whole album, is that, like, Bullet Meant for Me, the theme that was in that song kind of carries also with that like I was thinking that I was only hurting myself, but really I was hurting the people around me. Surviving the wasteland, that could be what's going on around you, or it could even be going on in your own life. The paradise that we try to seek in our lives, is fractured by ourselves and fractured by the world around us. And so, that's kind of what I got from all of that. So really cool, really great album. And I think that, it's just such an amazing direction for the band. Like, think back to, I think back to, what was the album? Shattered Life. I think that was what the album was called, Shattered Life, and Break Me. And I'm thinking, like, oh, that was so heavy. You try to break me down, and screaming out the down, and like, I thought that was heavy back in the day. And I'm like, man, these guys are crazy. They're screaming in the middle of the chorus. It's so cool. And to see where they've come to now, where there's just like, it is metalcore. Like, I would define Seventh-day Slumber now as a metalcore band, which is just so cool to say. That's what I would define it as, because it's got the screaming, it's got the riffs, it's got the breakdowns, the drums, just everywhere, double bass being used. Like, it's metalcore, especially today. It's like modern metalcore. So I'm excited for them. Great opportunities that they've been getting. They just did Winter Jam. They've been put on the radio, with Magdalene Rose joining with Seventh-day Slumber on this song. Magdalene Rose was also featured on a song with Under Oath, Spencer Chamberlain. And so, like, it just seems like there's these really cool opportunities all around, coming through Seventh-day Slumber. So big things happening there, and I hope that they continue to thrive and keep doing big things. So really awesome job, you guys. Go support them. Go check out the album. We are going to be moving on to the next song that I have here. And let me lower this volume because I'm almost certain we're going to hit an ad. Yep. Okay. So next band that I want to go over is Convictions. I'll let this go ahead and finish up. No, guys, no, don't do it. Don't do it. 100% plant-based. Look at the ingredients. It's probably a longer list than the amount of songs we're looking at today. All right. All right, guys. So we are going to be looking at Convictions and their new song, Sleeping Lotus. Now, I did listen to an interview with Cindy, the Backstage with Mothership. If you have not listened to that podcast, go and subscribe to it now on whatever you listen to podcasts on. I listen to it on Spotify, but Backstage with Mothership, she interviews a whole bunch of different Christian artists, and she interviewed Mike, and I love their hearts. We got to open up for Convictions last year, and it was just so cool. And like, I think the most awesome thing about that show was that they were able to bring together the Christian community in our area. And in a way that I saw Phineas did that a couple months before that, but they did it in almost the exact same way. And it was so cool. It's such a blessing when we can get all of the different people from the different areas, so the different surrounding areas, to come together for a show where we know that we're going to be screaming our lungs out for God, together as a family, talking about the topics that they talk about in their songs. And so it's just so cool. and I'm excited for them to continue to release music and continue to just keep getting better and better. So I'm excited to check out the song. I have not heard the song. I have not heard the song in its entirety. I've seen the marketing videos and everything, so I know that there's some awesome lyrics to it, but I have not seen or heard this song. So we are going to dive into it right now. Here is Sleeping Lotus by Convictions. It would probably help if I turn the volume back up. Here we go. It happens, guys. It happens. So here is Sleeping Lotus by Convictions. Great intro. Already really interesting. Got the guitars coming in, both sides. Ooh. I love that synth that's going crazy there. It's awesome. Ooh, we are moving. Great lyrics. Ooh, that was cool. Love that we get this underwater feel in here with the underwater look in the video. God, what are these roads? Turn off the doubt. Nourish my purpose. Turn the inside out. Lemonade, not design. Rolling it on me. So good. Awesome. So good, you guys. Wow. Production on the video and the song, next level, you guys. So good. I love the mood changes all throughout the song. I think that was a huge highlight, is that we were going from this crazy, energetic, synthy, guitars moving, drums moving, craziness, and yet we were able to come in and out of these really vulnerable, emotional, clean vocal parts as well. You threw in as well this like underwater moment, the transitions of coming in and out of all of those different vibes were so good. We had the pauses, like just really great dynamics all throughout the song. Really appreciate that, because it keeps you keeps you gripped into what you're talking about. Because I feel like in the song, there's two sides. There's the like crying out to God, like, God, I'm praying for this. I love songs that are just like a conversation between you and God. And that's totally what's happening here in some of the parts. But also, I feel like there's some parts where you're kind of screaming to yourself, right? Sleeping Lotus is talking about us. And it's, I felt this way with the worship song that I was doing at church last week, that it was a topic of conversation where sometimes we're worshiping to God and sometimes we're just encouraging our soul to worship God. We're speaking to our souls, right? Like Gratitude, Brandon Lake, right? Come on, my soul, don't you get shy on me. Lift up your voice because you've got a lion inside of those lungs, right? Like you've got a sleeping lotus inside of you. So wake up. You're speaking to your own soul. You're speaking to yourself. You're encouraging yourself to just wake up, get out of this dirt, get out of this tomb that you've put yourself in, whether that's because of your sin, whether that's because of your doubt, whether that's because you think God can't use you, whether it's because of the circumstances around you. Maybe it's because you have done something that you regret. Maybe it's because you've lost something. Maybe it's because you feel like you're too far gone. Whatever the reason is, you've buried yourself in all of this stuff. And God is saying, don't, like the talents, right? In the Bible, right? Don't bury yourself. Don't bury what I have given you. Don't sit on it. I've given you a gift. I've given you talents. I've given you a calling. I've given you a place in this body. So wake up and go be that thing that I've made you to be. Go be who I've called you to be. And so illuminate my design, right? Like illuminate who you've called me to be and help me to bloom and be that. So I love songs like this that kind of go back and forth between being a conversation with God and then like turning around and saying like, did you hear that? Like do it, looking in the mirror and saying, just do it, go out and be that. And, so really, really great stuff. Give me a sign so I can follow your every word. Just great lines here that are so real and raw and really feel like it's just a conversation and a prayer between you and God in those moments. So really, really cool. And also like, I don't know if you guys feel this way too, but I just mentioned a current affair earlier in the video, and it just kind of has that like, I don't know, that early 2000s vibe to it. The really fast synth that was going on there and fast guitars and the clean vocals, just the way the song was structured and everything. It just gave me early 2000s vibes. So that was super cool and I love it. We are going to be moving on to the next Conviction song, and that is going to be 4 Horses. So I'm excited for this one. This is also one that I have not heard yet. Right after we enjoy the Claritin D commercial. All right. So 4 Horses sounds apocalyptic. So let's go ahead and check this out. Let me subscribe. I'm not subscribed to them. I got to subscribe to them. Let's do it. Everybody go subscribe to Convictions. All right. This is 4 Horses by Convictions. Let's check it out. Uh-oh. Giving me alien vibes. Place your blade to the foe, rend the lords from the gods. Split serpents of spitting blood, rubbing the souls of everybody I loved. Everyone will die. Spit in the face, you're all into praise. Pulling the strings of the human race. This is nasty. Damn.
This is the fear of the Holy Ghost.
Woo.
Fear of the Holy Ghost. I am the beginning and the end.
Dang. Oof. Man, if you are not on Jesus' side when that day comes, this song should scare the hell out of you. Man, this song was nasty. Somebody said, guys, let's just have fun for 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Let's just do the craziest stuff that we can do. And they did it. This song is insane. It's like, this is a nasty song. It's just so raw, and there's so many cool guitar parts. You got all the juns and the whans and all the crazy stuff going on. And I'm sure they had a lot of fun just playing around with all of that. And it's so aggressive the whole time. It's so aggressive, which is great, because the topic of the song is about Armageddon. It's about the end of days, and it's true. Everybody's gonna die, and you're gonna have to. I want to say you're gonna have to pick a side, but you've already picked your side, and it's gonna be revealed. And so he's basically just calling out all of the people who are on the wrong side, and saying, "Hey, yeah, you're a false prophet. You're a serpent. The demons are gonna flee." All this stuff. And it's like, because the king is coming, and he's the beginning and the end, and everybody's gonna die. 4 horses ride, tribulation. A lot of Revelation references here. Yeah, it's just an aggressive warning. It's an aggressive warning that the end is coming, and you want to make sure that you're on the right side when that happens. So heed the warning, you guys. So good. This was just insane. I love it. Just 2 minutes and 44 seconds of brutality. And yeah, this should be in everybody's workout playlist. I immediately was like, I just heard this song recently after not hearing it in a long time, but that one Impending Doom song where it's like, this is war music. I think that's what it's called. And that's exactly what this feels like. This is war music. This is war music. This is what should get you hyped for all your spiritual battles. And yeah, it's so good. All right, guys. Now, Classic Disaster did open up for convictions, but more directly, we opened up for Confessions of a Traitor. So I'm really excited to check out this new song, Confessions of a Traitor. Really solid band, really solid sound, and they have a new song called Fatal Frame. So yeah, I'm excited to check it out. Really cool artwork as well. You got the skeleton praying. If you haven't noticed from our Escape song and from potentially our EP artwork, I really love this idea of like skeletons praying and skeletons being a reflection of who we are, because we, I wonder if that's what the song is going to be talking about, because it's just a theme that I think about all the time. But when we are so focused on what we lack and who we're not, and when we're deep in our doubt and sin and in our faults, we're not living in that life that Christ has given us. We walk around not as a living being in those moments. We almost walk around like we're dead and like we're a skeleton and we have no life inside of us. And so it's kind of this place that we can find ourselves in, right? When you're weighed down by your sin or your guilt or regret or just your thoughts and anxiety and all this stuff, you just walk around like a skeleton. And there's this beautiful thing when you are in that state and you just want God to give you that life and give you that hope, and you know that he's the one that you should be praying to and seeking that hope from. And so it's just a really beautiful imagery that I love to go back to all the time. So I don't know if that's what the song's about, but we will find out. Here is Fatal Frame by Confessions of a Traitor. Ooh. Coming in with some energy. Really cool lead guitar part there. Love it. Love it. Cool. Nice. Is there more to the end here? All right. Face Down Records. Really great song. Really great song. Very consistent all the way through. High energy. Little bits of fun dynamic changes here and there, which brings some excitement to the song on top of what's already there. And love the message here. So not exactly what I was saying before. It seems like this is more talking about how someone may place expectations on you, and how those expectations may be a standard that you fight to meet, and you're really trying to meet those expectations for someone. But the reality is that the more that you try to fight to meet someone else's expectations of yourself, you lose who you're supposed to be, and you lose who you are. And I think that this happens a lot within the church. I think this happens a lot within families. Um, I've definitely felt this in my own family, and I think it's just like a thing that happens. We talked about it a little bit in the Happy Family song, that it's just kind of a temptation for all of us to have expectations of other people around us because we want to hope good things for them. And sometimes that can be perfectly fine. You can do that in a healthy way. And then other times, your expectations sometimes are only based in what you really want. It's not something that's based on the Bible, or it's not something based off of who God has called them to be. And so you may be in a situation like this where there's certain expectations that are placed on you that don't align with either what God has called you to do or who God has called you to be, or you just have this standard and expectation, and because you're a sinner, because you're imperfect, because you fall short, and you constantly keep trying to measure up to that standard, you're faced with this feeling of being lost and feeling like you just can't ever reach that. You feel like you're, do I sink or swim? And you feel like you're sinking instead of actually attaining that goal. And the beautiful thing is that Christ lived the life that we couldn't live, and he died the death that we deserved, and he has met that standard for us. So obviously we should live our lives in such a way to honor that sacrifice that he's done, that he's given for us. But we don't have to be perfect, and he doesn't expect us to be perfect. The expectations that people place on us to be perfect are not from God. They're not from him. I think that if we were to frame things a little differently, and maybe say things with a little more understanding and love, say things from a place of understanding that you also aren't like the people who are giving you these expectations, who the church or your family or your friends or whatever it may be, maybe it's even yourself. Like, you have to have the understanding that they aren't perfect. You're not perfect, and they fall short in other ways. And that's why we have grace. That's why, none of us would be able to follow all of the commandments and be able to get to heaven because we're holy. We're sinners. We're going to be imperfect. We're going to fail, and we're going to fall short. And so, so it's important to remember that you're going to fall short. Okay. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Okay. You're going to fall short. And so you don't have to feel this sense of anxiety and burden to meet other people's expectations. I think that even in our weaknesses, right? The verse that says in our weakness, that even though I am weak, I am strong, because we're leaning on God. We're leaning on God in those moments. We're not leaning on our own understanding. We're allowing God to use us even in our weaknesses to show his strength through us. And so you can't let yourself just kind of fall in regret and constantly and fall into this cycle of being lost and feeling like you're dancing with death and all these different things, that the images we get in the song. You have to allow God to give you that grace, allow him to forgive you, forgive yourself, and then move forward trying to continue to honor God, but without this burden of trying to meet people's expectations in the way that this song is talking about. So really great song, really great message. All right, we are moving on to the SoCal Brethren, Unworthy. And Jordan from Unworthy actually also helped us open up for convictions and for confessions of a traitor. And he was actually playing with us as well at the last Chain Reaction show that we did. So Jordan is a part of the Classic Disaster family, at least every once in a while. So we're super appreciative for him lending his expertise with the bass over on the stage with us. But Unworthy has just released a new single, and they're also releasing another one, I think tomorrow, for their new album that's coming out. And I'm super excited for them. They are top of the line Christian deathcore. And so let's check it out. Prepare your ears for what is to come. Here is Forsaken by God featuring Connor Ludig, I think from Voluntary Mortification, also another Christian death metal, deathcore band. So here is Forsaken by God by Unworthy. Here we go. Makes you want to elbow somebody in the mosh pit. Great vocals. Did you hear that snare? Crazy. Feels like a very real prayer.
guy who lost a bet.
That was intense, you guys. Woo. So heavy. I love that. Let me see if I can go back and get some of the visuals from the song again. Yeah, here we go. So I love that the artwork for this song is just this, it feels like a Job, like when you hear or you read the verses about Job having boils on his skin, and his body just looks like it's been damaged to the point where it's unrecognizable, right? That's the kind of image I'm getting from the artwork here. It's just someone who's been damaged to a point where they're unrecognizable, and they're crying out, God, my God, my God, why have you forsaken me? And this could be Jesus, right? Like, that's what Jesus says on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? So this could be a picture of Jesus, but just the you can feel the pain and the emotion, and they are selling it hard with these vocals. There's a real drama happening here with these vocals. You can really feel the crying out to God in this song. Like, you can feel it's coming from the heart. And I think at different parts of our lives, like, we cry out to God in this way, where it really feels like either you've lost someone, you've lost something, you've experienced pain, you've been praying to God and you don't feel like you're getting an answer, and you're just continually just crying out to God, and you know that he's faithful, you know that he will answer eventually, you know that he's there, and you know he's hearing you. But when you don't receive a response, and you seemingly don't get any answers at all, and you seemingly feel like your cries are falling on deaf ears, it can feel hopeless. And it can feel like, am I even crying out for it? What am I crying out for? God, can you hear me? And I love that it's just kind of parking right there. It's parking in that emotion of feeling like God doesn't hear you. It's not giving you a happy ending of saying, but now you're finally here, or, I know now you hear me, like, it's not giving you the happy ending. It's just kind of parking there on, my God, why have you forsaken me? I don't feel like you're answering. The days turn to weeks, the weeks turn to months, the months turn to years. Like, hey, I'm still waiting, God. I'm still waiting. And I love that they're parking there, because maybe later on in the album they'll provide some more perspective. But I think it's important for us to write songs where you're just there. You're just there. You're in a hopeless state. You're in a state of doubt, maybe even. You're doubting that God will answer you. You're doubting that you're going to get through what you're going through. And it's okay to resonate with that. We are going to doubt sometimes. We are going to be waiting on God. We're going to have to lean on his understanding and not our own sometimes. And that's going to mean having patience and maybe even dealing with the things we're going through for an extended period of time, longer than we would like. And so, yeah, I'm glad that it parked there, because for someone who's just going through that and wants a song that resonates with how they feel, this is the song. It's just raw, heavy, continually crying out to God, continually just my God, why have you forsaken me? Yeah, really, really good, you guys. I'm excited for the rest of the album. And again, I think it's tomorrow when another one's coming out. So I'm going to try to get on it. But show these guys some love. They are SoCal brethren from SoCal Deathcore. Core knows core, as I told Jordan earlier. So they're the bros. So go check them out and give them some love. All right, guys, we got one more song on the list for today. And I'm kind of happy I'm getting through all this. I had technical difficulty with one thing, but I think we're going to make it. All right. Okay, guys. Okay. Memphis Mayfire. I've done some reactions to their songs. And I'm going to clarify something real quick. Is Memphis Mayfire technically a Christian band? Technically, no. Okay. But here's where my heart is. Okay. If you've got a band where the creative, pillars of the band are believers like Maddie Mullins and Kellen McGregor, who have put themselves out there as believers, who are the ones writing the lyrics and the music. Kellen McGregor has even gone on backstage with Mothership and talked about his role with a lot of different Christian artists, like Seventh-day Slumber, and I believe he mixed and mastered. Who was it? I think he's mixed and mastered Relent, like a lot of different Christian rock and metal bands. So they're in the community. They don't magically stop being Christian if they're in a band with other members who aren't believers. And so my rule, okay, because this even applies to bands that are completely Christian or say they're Christian, but then you listen to their songs and it's like, well, that kind of doesn't have it's kind of the opposite of a Christian message. Or, some Christian bands almost kind of just don't almost only have it just for the label, I feel like there's plenty of evidence to show that Maddie Mullins is a true believer, Kellen McGregor, and so because they're the main pillars of the creative writing process for Memphis Mayfire, I feel perfectly fine sharing the music here and talking about the messages of the music, and Maddie Mullins specifically, the way that he writes. I really love that it kind of does the same thing. It kind of parks in some areas where you just feel like you're going through certain things. And so I want to be able to share a lot of that. Their whole Remade in Misery album was a lot of that, parking on certain emotions, parking on certain things that when you talk about it, there's some really good sanctifying conversation that can happen there. So just want to clarify that for anyone who's like, but Memphis Mayfire is not a Christian band. So I'm just clarifying. And I'll probably clarify for other bands in the future as well. But guys, Memphis Mayfire is one of my favorite bands because of how raw and real they are with the lyrics, and how catchy they are. Just great songwriting, overall great messages and fun messages sometimes. I think for this song, it's going to be one of those fun messages. I always refer to TFK Rockfist. Like, everybody knows TFK is such a great, awesome pillar in the Christian rock community. Rockfist is like an awesome, fun song. It's not an evangelistic song. It's not going to be a theological song. Some of these bands just put out just fun, crazy songs sometimes. So it feels like this is going to be one of those. But we will talk about the lyrics and talk about the topic of it as well. So let's dive into it. Here is Chaotic by Memphis Mayfire. Again, it would help if I turned the volume up. Here we go. Round 3. Here is Chaotic by Memphis Mayfire.
I think I crave chaotic. I don't taste the pain when I stay neurotic.
That guitar tone, I love it. Man. Man. Unparalleled in so many different aspects. The vocals are so crisp. Drums are punching. Guitar tones crazy. So catchy.
Addicted to distraction, the chemical reaction. You've only seen a fraction. This is my mind in action.
What would you guys call that? Almost feels like it's almost like that riff, the way that Kellen plays that. I'm gonna go back actually. I feel like this is something new that he started doing with Remade in Misery. It's like a weird like vrnt, 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 like a hydraulic gear chain, like, you know, and cars go up and down like vrnt, vrnt, you know, and it sounds like that. It's so crazy with like a hint of a buzz to it, like vrrt, 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 you know. So cool. Man, so good. All right.
Download the Ralph's app.
All right, guys. So like this song is so catchy. It is so catchy. It is like, it's like next level. It's like next level catchiness. Pop. It's pop metalcore. And I feel like Memphis Mayfire, since they got kind of made fun of a little bit for, is it Broken or Unbroken? I think it's Broken. I heard a lot of people, or saw a lot of people on Instagram saying like, oh, they went Skillet, or oh, they went Red, or they went like 3 Days Grace, Breaking Benjamin, like they went butt rock, you know, whatever. You know, it's like when you want candy, you want it to be sweet, and you want it to be like, you're not looking for some profound flavor, you just want sweet. And so like, I love that since Broken, they've kind of created a really cool formula for just really catchy songs. And he's blending in a lot more screams, you know, he's blending in a lot more of the heaviness, because I think when they made Broken and it wasn't as heavy, I think they realized like, oh, maybe we should bring it back to a little bit more of an aggressive style. But the fact still remains that these songs are just so catchy, and they're just like candy. They're so sweet. They're just awesome. Like they're you want to keep listening to it. It's just so, it reels you in with how catchy it is. And as a songwriter and as a lover of music, you know, I really gravitate towards those kind of things. And I'm always trying to learn like, oh, like what makes a really good song a really good song. And I feel like ever since Broken and with Remade in Misery, Memphis Mayfire has just like dialed it in for making great, catchy and powerful songs overall. So you definitely get that with this song, Chaotic. And as far as the message of the song and the words to the song, so like this is so you know, a lot of it is just talking about how reminds me almost of a there's a Beartooth song that's called Fed Up, and it says I thrive in the panic. It's very much in line with that. Madness in every streak, you know, I like to paint the picture, madness in every streak to coat the shadow figures. If it's all habitual hate, I'd rather dissociate. So like, if the world around is hating, I'd rather remove myself from that, remove myself from clinging too tight to something that I could hate, or be a part of a group that hates something else. I'd rather dissociate. Chaos is what keeps me sane. Thunder to silence the rain. So that's kind of this whole message here. And I'm going to preface this conversation a little bit with this. My mom constantly has been sending me videos trying to convince me that I have ADHD. And I don't deny that I could possibly have ADHD. But it's just funny that my mom is piecing together the pieces now. And she said that she's always thought I had ADHD or some form or level of it. And I'm sure it's true. I'm honestly sure it's true. I do metal band. I got a different job at lead worship. I do Sanctify Studios. I got a kid. You know, I like try to work out myself. Like I'm doing 10 things all at once every single day. And so like when you are in a in a state of so many different things pulling you in every direction, it almost allows you to have a little bit of peace with everything that you do, because you're not holding on so tightly to each and every one of those things. You know, I try my best to be the best father that I can be for Joey and the best husband that I can be for my wife. And sometimes that means that I'm not here doing these videos, you know, and sometimes that means that I'm not in the gym working out. And I try to do the best that I can as a worship leader to make sure things are prepared for the team and prepared for the church. And sometimes that means that I gotta leave my son with my wife. And sometimes that means that I gotta sacrifice some time in the gym if I need to make sure everything's all prepared and ready. You know, I have to sacrifice in certain areas. I can't hold on too tightly to one thing, because otherwise I end up losing something else. So it kind of keeps you in this constant state of moving, in this constant state of just being okay with things not being completely perfect. And I don't believe we're supposed to be completely perfect in everything. And I think that's I really resonate with this song in that way. I think that when you have a little bit of chaos around you, it is almost so chaotic that it brings you a little bit of peace, because I'd rather have something else to go to work on, to kind of distract me a little bit, so that I don't get too obsessed about this other thing, so that I don't make this other thing too much of my identity, that my hope is all wrapped up in it. You know what I mean? Like, God did not just call me to be a husband, and didn't just call me to be a father, and didn't just call me to be a worship leader, and didn't just call me to do this, and didn't just call me to do a band. Like, God has called me to do all of those things. And I can't always do all of those things at the exact same time. I mean, I'm obviously a father and a husband at all times, but I can't functionally actively do things in that area all the time. And so I have to have a little bit of fluidness to how I interact with each of these things that God has called me to. And because of that, I'm constantly asking God for grace. I'm constantly asking God for help. I'm constantly leaning on Him and leaning on His understanding and leaning on His help for doing those things. I'm constantly just kind of leaving things up to God and saying, hey, God, you know, if I don't get to do some reactions, you know, I'm hoping that that's going to be okay. If I don't get to do this workout, I'm hoping that's going to be okay. You know, if I don't see my son do something for the first time, I'm hoping that's going to be okay. You know, like, and I have to try to do the best that I can to manage everything as best as possible. And it just allows me to not be too obsessed with anything, with any one thing, and not wrap up my whole identity in any one thing. So, you know, I'm sure that just validated the fact that I probably have ADHD, I'm sure. But I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that kind of feeling, or maybe God has called you to do multiple things or called you to be multiple things for different people. Maybe you're an all things to all people kind of person. I feel like I've always kind of been that a little bit. I've tried to be the jack of all trades, learn a bunch of instruments, learn a bunch of different skills, and just said, God, wherever you need me to be used, just use me. And I think that I've done that in healthy ways at some times, and I've done that in unhealthy ways at other times. But the unhealthy ways has always been because I wasn't willing to let something go. I had to be perfect in everything. I had to finish all of everything all the time, and it had to be perfect. I had to be the best at everything. When I wrap my identity in one of those things or in everything, that's when it becomes unhealthy. So I don't know if any of you guys have felt the same way, where it's like, you know what, God, my identity is in who you've called me to be and what you've called me to do. And if you've called me to do different things at different times and have my focus in different things at different times, then I'm not going to wrap my identity in anything other than what you've led me to do in those different times. And so it's a little chaotic. It's a little chaotic, and it creates a little bit of a dissociation with the things that I do. But at the same time, it allows me to be 100% there with what I do. When I'm with my son, I'm with my son. When I'm with my wife, I'm with my wife. When I'm with my church, I'm with my church. And when I'm leading worship, I'm worshiping. I'm there. I'm doing it to 110%. And it's not like everything is in its little box. It's still all things that I do constantly and working towards and getting better at in all of those different aspects. And it leads me to a place where I'm just constantly asking God, hey, help me in all these areas. If you've called me to do all these things, if you've called me to be in all these different areas, then give me the strength that I need at the different times that I'm doing all those things. So yeah, guys, I love this song for that. It just makes me think of like the constant state of movement and fluidity that I'm in, that I want to, I'm going to be writing music for the next album. The EP is done. The EP for our Classic Disaster stuff is done. So that's going to be rolling out real soon, and I'm excited to write new music. So we're going to be writing new music, going to continue to do these. Going to continue to grow as a father for Joey, grow as a husband for my wife. I'm hopefully going to be doing a Spartan race for my birthday that's coming up, and just a lot of different things all at once. And it's a little chaotic, but that's life, and that's what I feel like God has called me to. And it kind of makes me feel like it's a small resonance with Paul, because I don't want to make it seem like it's on the same level, because it's definitely not. But it feels like a small resonance with Paul when he says, I wish I could be with you, but I'm doing these other things. God has called me to other things, but I'm still going to write this letter to you, and I wish I was with you, but you're still on my mind. I'm burdened. I think Paul even says, I'm burdened with all of these different things on my mind. And I can only be in one place at one time. And he's just traveling all over the place, and he's doing ministry all over, writing letters all over the place. He was spread thin, but at the same time, that's what God called him to do, and that's who God called him to be. And I feel like when we are called to do a lot and be spread thin, like we just have a little bit of resonance with that. It's totally not the same level. It's totally not the same thing. Paul was getting stoned and traveling every single day, I'm sure, and persecuted, all that stuff. So I don't know, putting it on the same level at all. But just a small piece of just like, God, you've called me to be one of those people who's stretched a little thinner than others. And I'm okay with that. So I'm okay with the chaos. I thrive in the panic. And that's what this song reminds me of. So, all right, guys. I'm glad we made it through all these songs, and there's gonna be more on the way tomorrow. It's the night of Thursday right now, or the morning of Thursday right now, 3 a.m. And so there's going to be some releases at midnight tonight for the 26th. So I'm going to try to get on those tomorrow night if I can. And yeah, I'm excited. If you guys enjoyed this video, then do me a huge favor. You can go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up. You can hit the subscribe button, and you can hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when new videos arrive. And go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what song you enjoyed most out of this batch. Again, we've got yours truly from Seventh-day Slumber. We did Sleeping Lotus by Convictions. We did the Four Horses by Convictions. The Fatal Frame from Confessions of a Traitor. Forsaken by God by Unworthy. And Chaotic by Memphis Mayfire. I'm sorry, Chaotic's my favorite one out of the batch. It's just so catchy, and it's just so me. and it just reminds me of how much I rely on God to get me through every single day, knowing that there's like 10 things on my mind every single day. So yeah, definitely Memphis Mayfire's Chaotic is the favorite out of the batch for me. And guys, if you are a musician and happen to want to put your music out, do your research. Okay, so if you've done your research, you've looked up DistroKid, and you've looked up CD Baby, and you looked up all the different options, and you're like, you know what, I think I want to try DistroKid, then you can go ahead and use the link in the description, and you can get 7% off of your first year. DistroKid is a music distribution site where you can go ahead and upload your music with one cost per year, and then you have unlimited amounts of uploads for singles and EPs and albums and all that stuff. There are extra features that you can buy on top of that, but if you just want the bare bones, it's that one cost per year. That's what Classic Disaster has used, and it's been awesome. We got our first $100 of streaming money not too long ago, so that's super awesome. We're not huge. We're not a huge band or anything, and that was cool to see. Once the EP comes out, it'll be cool to be able to see just what God does with that. But God's really been blessing us through that, and this has allowed us to be able to get our music out into the world and have people hear it and experience it and become a part of the family and all that stuff. So if that's something that you want to do for your own music, then go ahead and visit the link, check it out. Again, do your research. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not telling you it should be DistroKid. Do your research, and if you've decided that DistroKid is the one you want to go with, then you can give me some kickback, and I'll give you that 7% off. Win-win, and you can go to the link and do that. All right, guys. I hope you have a good rest of the day, a beautiful rest of the day. I will see you in the next video. Take care.